As always, WWE. And now, WWE Network presents Royal Rumble Kickoff.
The road to WrestleMania officially begins right here live tonight. Welcome to the supersized kickoff show of the most unique night of the entire year. It's a Royal Rumble. Over 40,000 fans in the WWE Universe are filing in to this Minute Maid Park, the home of the Houston Astros, and it will be rocking in just a couple of hours. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Royal Rumble Kickoff Show. I am the coach. Over the course of the next 2 hours, we're getting you set for a night that has changed lives forever. It's not just about the 30 men in the Royal Rumble match. It's now also about the 30 women in the Royal Rumble match. We'll talk about all of it over the course of the next 120 minutes. Let's get to know our panel here at home base. To my left, the lovely and incredibly talented Charlie Caruso. Hello, Charlie.
Hi, Coach. Thank you so much. You know, this place is going to be rocking in 2 hours. It feels like it already is. This place really has a WrestleMania vibe, and although we aren't quite there yet, we are, as of today, officially on the road to WrestleMania.
Look at you. Look at you. All right, to my right, he is a member of WWE Backstage on Fox Sports 1. One of the great superstars of all time, WWE legends. Christian,
hey,
what's up?
Look, I got a lot of peeps here in Houston. I did not draw a number for the Royal Rumble, but I'm number one in your hearts, huh?
Always,
Yes, you are.
always.
We'll get back to you in a second. All the way to the left, you know him. He's the best dressed man in all of the WWE Universe. He is Harvard educated, Mr. David Otunga.
Well, thank you. I even have my royal jacket on tonight. And like you said, it is the start of the road to WrestleMania. We're going to find out who's going to main event WrestleMania tonight.
Best dressed man in the land. He's the second best dressed man at this table.
See, I don't get conflict too early. But when you talk about the Royal Rumble match, and we're going to have more people on the panel in a second, you've been in several. Me too. But what's the mindset when you head into a Royal Rumble match?
Well, you know this, being a fellow Rumble participant.
That's what we do.
Listen, here's the thing. You know, it's the old adage here. Everybody has a plan until you get hit. You never know what's going to happen in there. You have surprises, all these things. I couldn't tell you because I've never won a Royal Rumble. I've only been eliminated, so I'm playing armchair quarterback here, armchair arm dragger, if you will. But I'd say stay low. Stay as low as you possibly can. Don't get caught up in the ropes. Don't get crazy. You know, try
Slither
keep
around.
That center of gravity low, and you might have a chance.
That was my game plan when I lasted 37 minutes in the second one. David, what about your thoughts?
I mean, there's so many variables here, especially like entrance order. And then once you enter, who else is in the ring with you? I would say, you know, try to make an alliance. That seems to work. And then ultimately stab the guy in the back and toss him over at the end when the time is right.
There you go.
I like that
Gotta
idea.
do what you got to do.
Find an ally. I like that. Well,
Yeah.
there's going to be plenty of strategies, as we know, in both of the Royal Rumble matches tonight. But guess what? There's only one place where you can find out which strategies the superstars decide to use, and that is on the WWE Network. So everybody right now, you got one job. I need you to go to WWENetwork.com and sign up, because the Royal Rumble tonight is free for new subscribers. That's right, absolutely free for new subscribers. Coach, let's talk about what we're going to expect tonight.
Let's start with the staple, the 30-man Royal Rumble match. 30 men, all with the same chance. We start with two, and we know who entrant number one is, Brock Lesnar. The winner faces the champion of his choosing in a main event spot at WrestleMania.
And Daniel Bryan is renewed, he's refreshed, and he is ready for his second chance at the Fiend Bray Wyatt. With the Universal Championship at stake, there will be no escaping this harrowing showdown as the competitors are bound together by the wrists in a strap match.
And the United States title on the line, Humberto Carrillo and Andrade. And think about the streak and the run that Andrade has been on since winning this title at Madison Square Garden. He's also the person who put Carrillo out for a month. It's about revenge and a chance to walk out tonight, the new champion from Humberto.
And tonight, Roman Reigns is out to prove he doesn't hide from anybody. Before the Big Dog and King Corbin enter the Royal Rumble match for an opportunity to win a World Championship match at WrestleMania, the two rivals will once again do battle in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
And this is a match that Becky Lynch asked for against Asuka with her Raw Women's Championship on the line. The future, her title, all up for grabs tonight. But remember, Asuka is the last remaining superstar to hold an unanswered win over Lynch since 2018. Becky has not forgotten.
And let's talk about Sheamus. He is disgusted with the state of SmackDown since he left, and for weeks he has targeted Shorty G as the scapegoat for it all. Shorty G is beyond fed up, and tonight he and the Celtic Warrior will come to blows inside the ring, and that match is happening right here on the Kickoff Show.
And on the flip side, SmackDown Women's Championship match, Lacey Evans and Bayley. You talk about two women who have carved out unique spots on SmackDown. These two have certainly done that. They both have big-time goals. To continue on, though, one has to be victorious here tonight.
And one of the marquee matches of the night, the 30-woman Royal Rumble. With so many entrants left undeclared, there is bound to be a ton of surprises in store. But the big question is, which competitor will last the longest to earn a championship opportunity on the grandest stage of them all? I'm talking about WrestleMania.
Yeah, there's no doubt that tonight's going to be a packed show. More for us in just a couple of minutes, but we have more here on the Kickoff Show. And over along the, let's say, the first baseline here at Minute Maid Park, Renee Young, Booker T, and Sam Roberts. Guys?
I got the gang out here, gentlemen. We got the secondary panel.
Look here,
Hold
just
it down.
tell it like it is. This the A-Team.
This is the A-Team. This is where people are going to be making their grand entrance into the Royal Rumble. How you guys feeling? I mean, they've said it already. This is the road to WrestleMania. We're on it now.
Look here, we're in my city, and I feel, some people might say he feel good, he feel all right, but me, myself, I feel perfect.
I do too. This is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. Anything can happen. That's what's got these fans so excited.
It is electric in here already. I mean,
You
we're
can feel
already
it.
getting those Booker T chants. We're getting ready for this.
Look, here's the thing about the Royal Rumble match. Think about the legends that have won this thing. Think about your Stone Cold Steve Austins, your John Cena's, your Hulk Hogan's, your Shawn Michaels. Booker, you've never won one, but you've been in a couple.
I've never won one, but all those names you just said, all those guys, they were young guys, man. You got to have that young mentality, that never say die mentality to go out and win a Royal Rumble.
Look, you can be young, you can be vivacious, but here's the thing. Sometimes it just comes down to the numbers.
The Royal Rumble.
This is what we've all been waiting with a tear in my arena shaking. Did it.
The prize, a World Championship opportunity at WrestleMania. The challenge, outlasting 29 other superstars, eliminating your opponents by tossing them over the top rope so that both feet hit the floor. And success is all about the numbers. Since its debut in 1988, a mammoth total of 1,070 competitors have entered the Rumble. Combine their heights, and you're talking over 6 Eiffel Towers of superstar. Of those 1,070 who have entered, 1,034 have found themselves eliminated by the end of the night. A record 13 of those superstars were eliminated in a single Rumble by the 6'8" monster among men, Braun Strowman.
Get these hands.
And while size does matter, it is not the only path to victory. At a height of only 5 feet 6 inches, Rey Mysterio showed in 2006 that endurance is also required, punching his ticket to WrestleMania by lasting 62 minutes and 12 seconds.
Rey Mysterio did it!
But even stamina doesn't guarantee victory. The longest overall time spent in a single Royal Rumble match belonged to Daniel Bryan, who lasted an astounding 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 6 seconds. And on the women's side, Natalya at 56 minutes and 1 second. But the most important rule of the Rumble, do everything in your power to stay in the Rumble.
1 foot, 1 foot!
And while some superstars have shown an uncanny ability to avoid elimination,
Kofi, what a move!
others have found that just getting into the Rumble can be problematic.
Hey, he didn't even last 2 seconds. I wasn't ready. No, I'm going back in. Oh my God! Did that really happen?
This year, the lights will shine bright at Houston Astros Minute Maid Park, home of the 33rd annual Royal Rumble, as over 35,000 members of the WWE Universe will witness.
Houston, we have a problem.
Brock Lesnar enters the Royal Rumble match first.
The Conqueror is no stranger to victory in this prestigious event, having won the Rumble in his rookie year of 2003. But now, the Beast is looking to send shockwaves through the annals of Rumble history. Only 7 superstars have ever accomplished the monumental feat of winning multiple Royal Rumbles, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, who holds the distinction of being the only one to win 3.
Oh, hell yeah!
And only 2 other superstars have ever won from the #1 spot. Will the WWE Champion turn Space City into Suplex City? One thing is certain, the road to WrestleMania goes directly through the Beast Incarnate. The Royal Rumble has grown into a global phenomenon, and since the WWE Network's launch in 2014, subscribers have viewed Royal Rumble pay-per-views over 64 million times. And this year's fields look to be the most competitive yet.
I'm here to rumble.
Three brands collide in 2 Royal Rumble matches on one historic night.
My head is spinning. That is a lot of information, a lot of numbers going into the Royal Rumble. Booker's pumping up the crowd here in H-Town, his city. Let's talk strategy for Royal Rumble, though. I mean, we've seen so many come and go. What is the key strategy heading into Royal Rumble to survive the whole match?
Well, I think, Booker, you and I have the same amount of experience surviving the entire match. We could only guess. But I would think that you have to move slowly. It's a very fast-paced match. There's a new superstar coming out until all 30 superstars have entered into this thing. If you blow a gasket by the time you're at number 15, you're done.
You know what? I say, like the Macho Man Savage said, I got a master plan. My plan is no plan. That's the way the Macho Man would walk into this thing.
Just walk in and hope for the best.
No, you got to, because you got so many variables. I don't think a plan, a strategy is going to work when you got 29 other guys in there looking. You can't watch your back every single second. You got, it's like the luck of the draw.
Okay, but does Brock Lesnar have a plan going in at number 1? I mean, that man's got to have some kind of a plan, or Paul Heyman must.
Brock Lesnar has to have the same plan he has going into every match, which is win, and he usually does. The reason he's coming in at number 1 is because Paul Heyman said there is nobody in the locker room that can beat Brock Lesnar, and he's right.
It's hard to argue
Can you name a person? Can you name a person? Who could beat Brock Lesnar right now?
The smart money is on Brock Lesnar in this thing. 2-to-1 odds. I was checking the bookies. But my thing is this. Anybody got a chance in a match like this. And the reason I talk about the young guys, when you're young, you don't feel pain like the rest of the guys do. You looking to go out there and have a moment. And one of those young guys, a guy like Ricochet coming in at 100-to-1. Do you know how much money we make if we bet on Ricochet and he go out here and pull this thing out? That's a whole lot of long green ducats, man.
Because just look at Royal Rumble in general. I mean, we are kickstarting the road to WrestleMania here. I mean, somebody tonight knows that they're going on to main event WrestleMania. I mean, somebody's planting their flag in the ground.
So that's why the Royal Rumble is so great, because for one night, we as fans can sit there and go, maybe Ricochet is going to main event WrestleMania. We know Ricochet is not going to main event WrestleMania, but in this match, he actually might.
As well as, that's why Brock Lesnar put himself in at number 1. Brock said, let me go out here and make a moment at the Royal Rumble. And like I said, you said it's the road to what?
To WrestleMania,
Let me
baby.
go to WrestleMania and let's create pandemonium, baby.
Well, we are going to be breaking down all things Royal Rumble here. We are just getting started, but I hear that coach and team over there have maybe my Canadian sister standing nearby?
You mean the B team?
The B team.
Wow. Back to the B team.
I'm sorry, the B team. We're going to have some words after the kickoff show, Renee. I think that's what's going to happen. Anyways, Booker, you said anybody has a chance. That includes the lady joining us right here on the panel, Natalya. She is a confirmed entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble match, and she has a great track record. Natty, last year you lasted 56 minutes in the Women's Royal Rumble match, which was the longest of any other female in the ring. So talk to me about what your strategy was and what it needs to be to win a match like this.
I mean, when you think about the Royal Rumble, you think this is a chance for somebody to go to WrestleMania and win a WWE Championship. And for me to have that moment in my career, to win the Royal Rumble tonight, it would be a career-defining moment, but a match that would really help make my career that much greater than it's already been. And I'm already planning on my victory.
Oh.
I must say, I'm very.
I like the confidence.
I'm very confident, but to go into a match like this, you have to believe in yourself. Otherwise, what are we doing in the ring?
Of course. Exactly right. Well, you are one of the longest tenured superstars in WWE, and what exactly? You just kind of alluded to what it would mean to you to win the Royal Rumble at this stage in your career, but I believe in you.
Right.
The Canadian thing. Do you have a preference if you can pull this off? I don't want you to look too far forward, but I don't know what title you might challenge for.
Believing in yourself is key. It's definitely a Canadian thing, that connection we've got going on. And for me, the one person I really want to face that I haven't faced one-on-one yet is Bayley. I am blown away by how awesome the SmackDown division is doing, and I would love to face Bayley one-on-one at WrestleMania, and I can guarantee a victory for myself, the Queen of Hearts, the Iron Woman.
Oh, there you go.
Iron Woman, I like that. All right, Natty, I want to talk strategy. Now, tonight, who do you feel like are the biggest threats, the women you need to keep an eye on in the Royal Rumble match?
You know who I think is really sneaky? Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, they don't fool me, and they work together. They're like two sneaky little Siamese cats. And, I know we love cats,
Are they
Christian.
like two paws?
You're the queen of cats.
They're not as cute as two paws.
All right.
You know what? There's only 7 confirmed entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble match. So how do you strategize when you have no idea who's going to be in the ring?
That's just it. Because, I was thinking to myself in the locker room today when I was getting ready, like, how do I prepare when we only know of a few women that are going to be in this match?
Right.
You don't know who's going to show up. And that's one of the greatest things about WWE is that you always have to expect the unexpected. Everything is so unpredictable. You never know who's going to show up from the past, present, or future of WWE.
You have to have the ability to adapt on the fly and to change your strategy in an instant. That's the only way that you can thrive and
that's
survive
why I'm
this
the
type of
Iron
match.
Woman.
That's exactly right. Well, Natalya, we wish you all the best. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Can't wait to see you for another 56 minutes in this Royal
Even longer.
Rumble match. All right, let's
Thanks for having
change gears here now. And tonight, the Raw Women's title is on the line, and Becky Lynch rarely asks for anything. And in this instance, she demanded this match. This run for the man began in 2018. Asuka owns a victory over Lynch that clearly has stuck with the Raw Women's Champion. And tonight, she wants to make it right against one of the most dangerous women in the world.
I've been walking around for months now, wondering what kind of a champion I am. What it really means to be the man. Should I just be happy now that I've made all the history that I said that it would?
She did it! The single hottest superstar in the industry, taking this division to a whole new level.
The longest reigning Raw Women's Champion in history.
Should I avoid the one woman I can't seem to beat?
Asuka and Becky Lynch, first time ever, go one-on-one. Asuka locked in the center of the ring. And a tap out by Lynch.
Powers that be, they're trying to protect me against Asuka because they don't think that I can win. And maybe they're right.
Asuka from behind.
This champion says that Asuka is the best in the world right now.
He knows.
Becky Lynch just can't get by Asuka.
You've had my number, but I need that to change.
At the Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch taking on Asuka, Raw Women's Championship.
May the best woman win. I have tried to find an anger to defend myself against you. But Asuka, when somebody puts their hands on me, they'll rise a badness in me. If I have to go down again, I am going down swinging, but I swear to God, I am taking you with me. So you can take my eyes, you can break my bones, but at the Royal Rumble, I am coming around to collect on one last debt. And I will teach you what I know now. You can't beat me anymore.
At the Royal Rumble.
It'll beat you.
Easy. Becky
is not ready for Asuka.
I think this is a match everybody is looking forward to tonight because we have two of the top competitors in WWE going face to face. Now, Asuka has had Becky's number for, as long as Becky can recall. Becky has said she wouldn't even sign her contract unless this match was guaranteed with Asuka. So is Becky correct in that she is not the man, she's not solidified as the man until she can finally beat Asuka?
Well, I think that's one of the things that makes Becky so cool. Is this is in her mind. She doesn't feel like she's truly the man or truly the best until she's beaten everybody, and that includes Asuka. So this is a loss that she's going back to avenge, and I think that says so much about her. Makes me like her even more.
Right, and here's to me what's compelling about this whole
situation.
Dynamic.
So, yeah,
it's hard to describe. I know,
but
never seen it.
The layers behind everything. I mean, when Becky caught fire last year, Asuka was the champion. She was a SmackDown champion and almost kind of became an afterthought, so to speak. And to me, that kind of has to, nod her a little bit as well, where, hey, I didn't get my just due when I was the champion because, you were starting to come on. And she ended up getting a main event spot at WrestleMania and winning the championship and going on this incredible run. So I think that, and for every superstar, whether they want to admit it or not, there's that one person, that one opponent that you just can't solve, that you can't figure out. For me, it was Randy Orton, and let's see, hey, maybe Asuka is that for Becky Lynch. Maybe it's that style that she just won't be able to figure it out.
I was a little surprised that everything that Becky Lynch has done the last 2 years, because we all forget as fans who wins, who loses, but Becky didn't forget. And this is just different to see a champion going after a challenger as opposed to the challenger going after the champion. And I think that shows us how much that this one loss is still sticking with Becky Lynch, and you wonder if that's already got too far in her head than what she already is.
No, but she needs this for herself, and I think once Becky finally avenges this and gets things right in her head, she's going to be unstoppable because I feel like that's the only thing holding her back is just Asuka, just beating Asuka. Once she does, I mean, look out. Let's be honest.
If she can, not once, if she can. I mean, Asuka is someone I know I wouldn't want to step into the ring with if I was Becky Lynch, but here she is calling her out.
At this point, this is a bigger match for Becky than the main event at WrestleMania for her. I mean, she's gone on this incredible run, and for her, she hasn't solidified herself until she's righted this wrong in her mind.
And like any team or any great athlete, until you beat that one team or opponent that you've just never been able to get the 1, 2, 3 or the winning basket or the winning touchdown, you just don't know if you can do it. Asuka already knows that she can do it.
It's like two kids arguing or two friends, and somebody will say, well, I think Becky Lynch is the best. The other one says, yeah, she never beat Asuka.
Yeah, right.
And you think about the confidence that Asuka has at this point in time. She's left her laying here the past couple weeks, and she has beaten her. She's the last person to beat her clean in the middle of that ring.
And let's not forget that this is normally a night where the champions don't necessarily have to compete. And Becky Lynch asked to compete
She demanded
tonight. That's
to
exactly
compete,
right.
yeah.
All right, we will leave it right there. Can't wait tonight. Becky Lynch taking on Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. All right, switching gears now. How about the Universal Championship on the line here tonight? Coming up in just a little bit as the fans continue to file in to Minute Maid Park. Over 40,000 members of the WWE Universe will be in their seats when we start. We'd like to extend a special thank you to Zane Wolf for Rumble, an official theme song of Royal Rumble. Available now on Apple Music and Spotify. All right, how about Raw last week? Who can forget Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins taking on the Viking Raiders, Raw Tag Team titles on the line. Were you guys as shocked as I was to see them team up, be so good together, and walk out the tag team champions?
I wasn't surprised at all. I wasn't surprised one bit. I mean, Seth Rollins is that type of competitor. He's proven time and again that he's the upper echelon of this business. And for him to take a guy like Buddy Murphy, who has all the talent in the world, just needed that extra little push, I think it was just what Buddy Murphy needed at the right time.
And I think maybe, David, it's also what Seth Rollins needs at this particular time. For the last couple of years, he's been pretty much all by himself.
It is, and I think Seth functions best when he's got people around him, people watching his back. And I actually really like the pairing of him and Buddy Murphy. I like that dynamic. I've always been a fan of Buddy Murphy's. I like what he does, but I feel like he does need some leadership. And I mean, let's be honest, there's nobody better than the architect of the Shield to lead him.
Yeah, I think it's a great duo myself.
Yeah, I think that what, going off what David just said, I think that, you know, this pairing, this group with the AOP, with Buddy Murphy, with Seth Rollins can do for Buddy and even the AOP what the Shield did for Seth Rollins. I think they can elevate themselves to that level or beyond.
And I have the list of superstars in the Royal Rumble match tonight, and I'm seeing Seth Rollins. Yep, he's on there. So he has a chance.
27 confirmed entrants in the Men's Royal Rumble match as of right now.
Oh, look at you doing some homework. Look at Charlie doing some homework.
Addition.
Well, I don't see Buddy Murphy's name on here yet. There it is. Now he's there.
Just got to read a little bit.
To Seth Rollins.
I know.
I'm saying it wasn't on here before.
Oh,
is what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I didn't know if you just etched it in right now.
No.
Okay.
He's got to have himself some backup now. That's what I'm saying. Would he have this spot before he was a tag team champion? I don't think so.
Do we think, remember we talked about alliances in the ring. Will this be an alliance, really quickly, that we see happening tonight in that Royal Rumble match as well?
Of course, and it's a strong alliance, which is ultimately going to benefit Seth Rollins. Another brilliant move.
All right, let's leave it right there. So many different things could happen tonight in that 30-man Royal Rumble match. It's hard to talk about each and every one. All right, switching gears now. A couple of months ago, Daniel Bryan, the latest victim at the hands of the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. But instead of it killing his mojo, it did just the opposite. It motivated Bryan. Now with a new look, new attitude, Bryan has reconnected with the WWE Universe. And now a chance tonight to bring this whole thing full circle.
I've said on numerous occasions that the Yes Movement is dead. But maybe, just maybe, you guys brought it back to life. Yes! Yes! I wasn't changed because of the Fiend. I was changed because of you. It was your passion, your voice, your energy that made me realize the person that I should have been this whole time. Yes! 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 Oh my God! The Fiend!
Absolute blast playing with Daniel. Daniel, he just wanted you to remember.
I'm yours. Let me join the family.
Bryan shedding the Wyatt skin. Trust me on this one. I'm not sure I want to know what happened to Daniel Bryan.
Could it be? Daniel Bryan is back.
Bray Wyatt likes to talk about changing people. And guess what? He succeeded. But I'm gonna change Bray Wyatt too. And how do you beat somebody who disappears? I challenge The Fiend to a strap match for the Universal Championship. And he won't be able to run. And he won't be able to disappear.
You never did learn your lesson. You betrayed me. Now, it's time to pay.
And now a mandible claw. Oh my God. Daniel Bryan asked for this. Daniel Bryan demanded this.
Oh, and you won't be competing against me. It's only fitting that he signed the contract.
All right, gentlemen, my big question here. How do we feel about Daniel Bryan making this stipulation to be in that close proximity to The Fiend in this strap match? I mean, this seems insane to me.
Yeah, I don't necessarily understand why he wanted it to be a strap match. I don't think.
I can tell you why. I can tell you why. Because back in the day, we had a saying, you know, a guy flipping and flopping and running around all over the place. You want to keep that guy real close to the body. And right now, we know all about The Fiend. Daniel Bryan saying it best. Guy disappearing, you know, reappear. Hey, let me see what's going to happen when I got this man strapped. That's what I like it. I like the idea.
You gotta give it up for this attitude of Daniel Bryan as well.
No, you don't. It
Yeah,
doesn't
come
make any
on.
sense. Have you seen what The Fiend does when he's close to human beings? He doesn't run. He destroys. He uses everything imaginable to come down on his opponents.
Well,
I think Daniel Bryan's trying to be one step ahead of him
Mind
here.
games, mind games. We just saw Daniel Bryan got one up on The Fiend. Right now, The Fiend has to be wondering who's lurking, what's next. I like the idea.
Everybody thinks that Daniel Bryan is playing mind games because he got the haircut that The Fiend gave him.
Wow. You think that's all it comes down to?
It doesn't make any sense. Nobody's been able to stop The Fiend. What makes Daniel Bryan different?
I think Daniel Bryan, his mind is always working. His wheels are always spinning. I feel like Daniel Bryan has something up his sleeve, and I think you're not giving him enough credit right now.
His mind is about to get crushed under a mallet.
Bryan, any way you look at this guy, ever since day one, I always say, that's my boy D. Bryan, because I always looked at him like special, extraordinary talent, and that's what Daniel Bryan is. Daniel Bryan got these people by... Daniel Bryan, what'd you think? Daniel Bryan. The people want to see Daniel Bryan go out and make history tonight, and that's by stopping The Fiend at the Royal Rumble in Houston, Texas.
That's what they want. It's not what they're gonna get.
But you could picture Daniel Bryan. I mean, look at him heading into WrestleMania, Universal Champion. I mean, yeah, that's what the people want. They want this.
Yeah, I don't care about what the people want. The Fiend wants to keep his championship.
Of course.
And he's been super good at doing that, even with opponents like Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan can have all the recycled T-shirts that he wants to.
Which is great, by the way, and you guys should all buy some.
Yeah, sure, buy some T-shirts. But don't buy T-shirts that say Daniel Bryan is the champion, because he ain't winning tonight.
So not happening. Buck, you think that Bryan might be able to get it done?
Look here, man. On any given Sunday, you've heard that term before, right?
What's that, basketball?
Bass football, actually. On any given Sunday, Daniel Bryan can go out there and make history. We've watched Daniel Bryan come a long way, not just here in this company, but in this business. And Daniel Bryan, like I say, he's got the world on his side, and sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, I want to know maybe what Christian thinks about this. Christian, what do you think about Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend here tonight?
Well, first of all, I'm wondering that guy that's standing in between you there. What's his name? The little guy.
We don't know him.
Hair? Maybe we can get him a haircut. That's brutal, man.
We're not quite sure who he is.
Listen, I agree with what Booker was saying. You know, I think that mind games is what The Fiend likes to do. He just gets in he beats you mentally before he even have to get in the ring with him physically. But Daniel Bryan's trying to flip the script on him a little bit here, right? He's trying to say, he's trying to get now in the Fiend's head the same way that Fiend is used to doing to his opponents, and we'll see if it works here tonight. You know, obviously with the strap match, look, the Fiend does have a tendency to kind of disappear and run away when things aren't
100%.
quite going his way. Daniel Bryan realizes that. The strap match, it's risky, but what other choice does he have at this point in time? He needs to get his hands on The Fiend.
I agree with the guy with the bad haircut. What is wrong with you guys? You cannot get in The Fiend's head. This is a strap match. This is a terrible idea. If you know anything about Daniel Bryan, his whole offense is built around speed, inertia. He needs room to run to get that flying knee. He can't if he's tethered like this to The Fiend. There's just not enough room. And we saw what The Fiend can do with the strap. This is a terrible idea. The Fiend is going to destroy Daniel Bryan tonight.
How long
and give
is
him
the
an even
I'm
worse
inclined
haircut.
to agree with you here. I would be a hard pass for me being attached to the Fiend for that long.
We both know the classic matches you've both had, so I guess your opinion matters more than mine.
Well, this
Damn!
well, you know, this might be the first
Can't
time
get any credibility around here.
that David has ever agreed with Charlie and Sam all at the same time. All right, we're going to leave it right there. So to come here on the Kickoff Show, we've got action in the ring. United States title on the line, and a guy named Shorty G coming up.
Foster Farms Corn Dogs presents Fighting a Monster Appetite.
Welcome home from school, honey. How was your...
It's a battle as old as time. Mom versus her kid's monster appetite.
Can Lacey Evans hold off that hunger monster while preparing a satisfying snack?
We're about to find out.
It's on!
Let's go.
Look at the athleticism by Lacey Evans.
It's almost like Mom's done this before.
Did she just forward roll over the counter? We got the best seat in the house. Come on, Lacey.
These two familiar foes may tear the house down. Incoming.
Whoa! I think Mom's gonna make it.
I don't know, Vic.
You can't trip your mom. How much more time's left?
Foster Farms Corn Dogs.
7 grams of protein wrapped in a honey crunchy coating.
How's that?
Yum.
Fight the monster appetite.
I think your brother's home.
I got this.
You know, clearly Lacey and her daughter Summer were the stars of that Foster's Farms commercial. I'm still trying to figure out how Corey Graves got in there, but that's another story for another
He always finds
time.
a way in, you know.
Exactly, right? But when you talk about Lacey Evans and where she has come from the last 6 months and where she is now and a chance tonight to walk out here the SmackDown Women's Champion, I don't think anybody's come farther in a shorter period of time than Lacey.
No, I'm a big Lacey Evans fan. I think, like you said, she's just a natural at this. She took to it, and she reminds me a lot of a guy like Kurt Angle, who just seemingly had the ability to step in and do this at a high level very quickly. She's confident, she's strong, and I think tonight may very well be her night.
Well, you look at Lacey's entire background, ex-military member, amazing mom, amazing wife. I mean, everything that she does, she puts 100% of her heart and soul into. And I think this is just another testament to that. I think that she's putting 100% of herself in this match tonight.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I feel like she's in a great position. You know, just listening to her talk, everything she's overcome, she's focused. She wants to set a good example for her daughter. And also, she's got a heck of a right hand.
She does.
It's going to take one shot.
Let's spin it forward to tonight. And it's Lacey with a chance at the SmackDown Women's title against Bayley. Now let's go back to Friday Night SmackDown when Michael Cole was conducting an interview with Lacey.
Last week I put Sasha Banks on the shelf, and come Sunday, I'm gonna put Bayley.
Well, put Bayley where is what we were wondering, because Bayley came out of nowhere, and then this brawl essentially was broken up by the referees, but then it continued backstage.
Yeah, I mean, you see here, Bayley obviously trying to get the upper hand here, right? Trying to get back into Lacey Evans' head, trying, you know, with you know, being the bully. Just like Lacey Evans said, she's trying to force her will on Lacey. Hey, I'm the champion. You have to come take my title.
Well, it's pretty clear that both of these ladies are here and ready to go tonight.
Bayley.
Oh, what do you want, Kayla?
Well, it seems like every time you knock Lacey Evans down, she gets back up and continues fighting. So how much does Lacey's determination concern you heading into your title match tonight?
Don't tell me you're buying into this Lacey facade too. I get it, she's a mom, she's a former Marine, and now she wants to inspire people and show them that dreams come true. Does that sound familiar? Ding dong. Been there, done that, and I have traveled the world trying to inspire people and be a better role model than Lacey Evans can ever dream of being. And that's not the way life works. So tonight, I'm going to show Lacey Evans that her dream is not coming true. And I hope her little brat daughter is sitting front row so she could see it firsthand.
Clearly, Bayley has the game face and the game attitude on point tonight, and the SmackDown Women's title will be on the line later tonight when Bayley goes one-on-one with Lacey. Normally, when you've got a big match like tonight, you're in a better mood than what we just saw. But do you think at this point, David, I'll start with you, that Bayley is just tired of how much love Lacey is starting to get outside of the ring?
That might be one way to look at it. I think Bayley is worried. That's what this is about. That's also why Bayley jumped on SmackDown, that sneak attack. She's trying to get an upper hand. Let's not forget, Lacey's already left Bayley laid out before. And also, I don't think it's a smart thing for Bayley to keep disrespecting her child. I mean, we know what kind of a mother Lacey Evans is. This is extra motivation for her that Bayley doesn't need Lacey to have.
Yep, there's one thing you don't mess with, it's her daughter. And Bayley and Sasha, you know, to Bayley's advantage, have done just that.
Right. I think that, you know, Bayley maybe should be in a little better mood now, realizing that, you know, her haircut is only the second worst behind Sam Roberts at this point. But here's the thing. Look, it took her a long time to become the SmackDown champion, and she's not going to just hand it over to Lacey Evans because, you know, of this great story of overcoming the things that Lacey Evans has overcome. You know what? It's a toss-up. It really is. I don't know if it's going to be more of a distraction with her daughter at ringside or if it's going to be more of an inspiration to help her get through. We'll see here tonight.
Well, let's remember, Lacey has never been in this situation. When you have a title match on Royal Rumble night, then you know if you walk out the champion what that can lead to. Right. That's a lot of pressure. David, 15 seconds.
It's a lot of pressure, but some people perform better under pressure. I have a feeling Lacey Evans is one of those people. And like I said, she's got a heck of a right hand, and she has confidence in that. All she has to do is hit Bayley with that one time. That's it.
True champions work best under pressure, and you can bet that Bayley wants to walk into WrestleMania as the champion.
All right. Well, we've got almost 40,000 fans that are ready for our first match in the ring. Let's sit it down to the voices of SmackDown, Michael Cole and Corey Graves. Gentlemen.
Thanks a lot, Coach. We're about an hour and 19 minutes away from the start of the Royal Rumble event. My favorite event of the entire year on the WWE calendar.
You and me both, Michael Cole. Tonight we load up the cannons. Everything gets aimed toward Tampa, Florida for WrestleMania. It all starts tonight at the Royal Rumble.
Let's kick things off with a match from Friday Night SmackDown.
Scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, from Dublin, Ireland, weighing in at 267 pounds, Sheamus!
It is the return of the Celtic Warrior to in-ring action for the first time in months. A crowd of over 40,000 WWE fans expected here tonight at Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, home of the Astros. About a 1 hour, 17 minutes remain until the start of the Royal Rumble event. And the Royal Rumble matches, Corey, a match that this man Sheamus won back in 2012.
This is a different Sheamus from 2012, a more highly evolved Celtic Warrior, a new attitude, focused on eliminating everyone in his path.
It is an incredible atmosphere here tonight in Houston, an incredible stadium as well, as Shorty G prepares to enter the ring.
And his opponent from Minneapolis, Minnesota, weighing in at 202 pounds, Shorty G.
This is the mantra that Shorty G lives by. For the underdogs, the overlooked, and the underestimated, embrace who you are, hashtag rise over size. But it's been that mantra that has really drawn the ire, Corey, of Sheamus.
Sheamus feels little respect for what Shorty G has accomplished throughout his WWE career. Never mind the fact that Shorty G was a United States Olympian, a very, very talented competitor. But this is a different world. We're not on the mat. We are in the WWE ring where Sheamus reigns supreme.
Sheamus says he wants to rid SmackDown of the, quote, infestation of losers like Shorty G, in his words, that are hurting the SmackDown brand. So we're underway. Sheamus, a former world champion, and the upstart Shorty G, who took Baron Corbin to the limit in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament last year.
Look at that right out of the gate. Shorty G looking for his bread and butter, looking for a single leg takedown, and Sheamus just shrugged him off.
Pretty excited, Corey, to see a Sheamus back in action for the first time in a number of months.
And in his time away, Sheamus has gotten himself in tremendous physical condition. Not that he hasn't always been, but focusing on his cardiovascular conditioning.
You watch those Celtic Warrior workouts on social media?
I sure do. I don't necessarily abide by them. I don't think I could make it through one, but
Shorty G not going to outpower Sheamus in this matchup, going to have to use his quickness, his technical ability, and a straight right by Sheamus.
No technical ability behind the right hand of the Celtic Warrior. Changed the complexion of the match with one strike. That's the type of power possessed by Sheamus.
The WWE fans are still filing in here tonight as we start the road to WrestleMania with the Royal Rumble, and Sheamus just driving Gable to the mat.
Sheamus showing blatant disregard for the rules, risking getting disqualified by the official, being a little lenient.
Side headlock takedown again by Sheamus, and a nice counter by Shorty G.
Shorty G definitely with a speed advantage in this matchup.
Oh! Shoulder tackle knocked down by Sheamus.
Like running into a brick wall.
You know, Sheamus may be one of the most underrated superstars in the history of WWE. When you look at this man's resume, Corey, it is incredible.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and it's almost amazing that Sheamus can be overlooked after everything that he's accomplished, but that's what's driving the Celtic Warrior these days. He doesn't feel that he's received his just due from the WWE Universe.
Mentioned Sheamus winning the Royal Rumble matchup 8 years ago, 2012, former world champion in his own right. Money in the Bank winner as well, and Shorty G takes Sheamus over the top rope, spills out to the floor.
If this was a Royal Rumble match, both of these men would be eliminated.
See plenty of that later on tonight with the 30 women and 30 men entering the Royal Rumble matches.
Well-placed knee to the midsection by Sheamus and a clubbing blow between the shoulder blades of Shorty G.
Sheamus back into the ring, and Shorty G again using his quickness. Rolls up Sheamus, shoulders are down here, kick out at 2. And there's a nice takedown by Shorty G.
Shorty G could be looking for the ankle lock submission, which served him very well in the past. Sheamus realizes it, trying to fight Shorty G off.
Shorty G in trouble as Sheamus powers him out of it, and now drives Shorty G into the post, shoulder first. Mentioned Sheamus has been out of action for a number of months. Perhaps ring rust could come into play.
Oh, nothing rusty about the shoulder breaker.
Shorty G feeling it. Sheamus driving the point of his knee into the shoulder.
As though Shorty G may have suffered some sort of laceration to his ear, courtesy of the assault from the Celtic Warrior.
And now just stomping on the hands and fingers of Shorty G.
Very effective strategy by Sheamus. Eliminate the usage of Shorty G's hands. It greatly limits his amateur wrestling skills.
Trying to break the wrist, perhaps, of
prying his fingers apart.
Separating the fingers of Shorty G. A very aggressive Sheamus in his first match back here tonight.
Sheamus is anxious. Sheamus is excited to remind the WWE Universe just what he's capable of.
Shorty G, some body shots, a couple of chops, and runs in to the elbow of Sheamus. Is this the pace that Sheamus wants in this match, Corey?
Definitely. Definitely a slower, methodical pace for the Celtic Warrior is going to benefit him.
Sheamus is torturing Shorty G as our first match of the night at the Royal Rumble begins.
This championship says that I'm the best.
Should I avoid the one woman I can't seem to beat?
In Becky Lynch's mind, is she doubting herself?
The man has come around to collect one last debt. And I am not taking no for an answer. The Royal Rumble, it will be the man versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship.
As always, WWE Network is free for new subscribers.
Corey, this has been new offense on display by Sheamus here in this matchup.
Celtic Warrior didn't spend his time away from WWE being complacent. Sheamus realizes you have to evolve, you have to adapt to continue to succeed in the world of WWE.
We are about 1 hour, 10 minutes away from the start of the Royal Rumble event, the 33rd annual Royal Rumble. Sheamus kicking things off from Friday Night SmackDown here tonight on the Royal Rumble kickoff show.
The excitement inside Minute Maid Park already tangible. Everybody fired up for the Royal Rumble event.
Well, everybody knows what's at stake. You win the men's or women's Royal Rumble match. You punch your ticket to a main event at WrestleMania and battle for the championship of your choosing.
Look at Sheamus just looking to pry the fingers right off Shorty G's hands. This is agonizing and perfectly legal.
Yeah, Sheamus been punishing Shorty G for the duration of this matchup. Shorty G trying to do everything he can to reverse this, but it has been all Sheamus.
Every time Shorty G's attempted to push the pace on the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus has shut him down.
The 270-pounder using the weight advantage to control Shorty G.
Shorty G trying his best to escape the torturous offense from Sheamus to this point. Oh my goodness! Sharp overhead chop.
Saw the whites of Sheamus's eyes as Shorty G delivered that chop, and now stomping away at the feet of Sheamus, trying to take the big man off his feet.
Shorty G looking for the single leg once again to no avail. Sent to the outside.
Yeah, but right back up on the apron, the tenacity of this young man, Shorty G.
Such precision with the kick from Sheamus.
And Sheamus with the 10 beats of the Bowdering. Just wearing out Shorty G. And he's not stopping at 10.
The fella has been unleashed. Each one of those blows across the chest of Shorty G, driving all the breath out of Shorty's body. And again, Sheamus is relentless.
Sheamus not going to stop until Shorty G is helpless and defenseless. If you're a member of the, you remember the Friday Night SmackDown locker room, you're being put on notice tonight by this man.
Sheamus did not discriminate, warned each and every member of the locker room. The fella is back and hungrier than ever.
You're rough. You don't belong in this ring. You're rough.
Sheamus now just tongue lashing Shorty G.
You're a disease.
Many of the words that Sheamus used last week describing some of the competitors as vermin and disease.
Sheamus had better be careful not to disrespect Shorty G.
And look at Shorty G fighting back now. Forearm after forearm. Kick right to the face. But Sheamus not allowing Shorty G any separation, but now Shorty G has it. Got a little bit of space to work with, and the drop kick to the knee takes the Celtic Warrior off his feet.
Smart move by Shorty G, desperate as it may have been. Drop kick to the patella of Sheamus. Shorty now with an opportunity to continue to build some sort of momentum.
Trying to fight back into this match. That's the one thing about Shorty G. We've learned a lot over the years is this man is all heart, never say die attitude.
An overabundance of guts from the former Olympian.
Oh, and what a kick right to the face. And again to the shoulder. And Sheamus has been neutralized as Shorty G continues to work on the injured knee of the Celtic Warrior.
Shorty stomping away at the left ankle of Sheamus. That's the plant leg for Sheamus to deliver his brogue kick.
Shorty G's done his homework. He had Sheamus scouted. He's such a student of the game, Corey. Guarantee you he's been watching tapes of old Sheamus matches before Shorty G came into this one. Ew!
Running capoeira kick takes down Sheamus. No doubt about it, Cole. Shorty G's also been on the wrong end of a brogue kick in the past. Doesn't want to feel that again.
Up to the top rope looking for a moonsault. Sheamus back to his feet. Catches Shorty G. And Shorty G counters fires into a DDT.
You can see the momentary hesitation. Sheamus struggled to plant all of the weight on his left ankle. Shorty G.
Top rope moonsault. What a victory this would be for Shorty G tonight. And a kick out by Sheamus at 2.5.
Not only would a win tonight be massive for Shorty G's career, but it could greatly derail any sort of momentum Sheamus hopes to build since returning.
Yeah, you come in, you talk all this trash, you call people on the SmackDown roster vermin, and then you lose? Doesn't bode well. Shorty G was going for the German suplex and caught an elbow in the ear, and now a running knee by Sheamus. Shorty G from behind. Sheamus hanging on, roll through now. With the power into a German suplex. There's the bridge, cover on Sheamus, pops out at 2.
Deceptive strength from Shorty G, nearly leaving Minute Maid Park with a big-time victory to kick things off at the Royal Rumble.
Not sure Sheamus was expecting this kind of fight tonight out of Shorty G.
And that's an error Sheamus can only blame himself for. You can't underestimate Shorty G.
Continuing to work on the injured leg and knee of Sheamus. Sheamus, though, hanging up Shorty G under his armpit on the top rope. And now using the ropes to his advantage. Sheamus having problems walking right now.
Sheamus walking very gingerly right now, no pun intended.
Still gonna go up to the top rope. Sheamus gonna launch himself. Shorty G caught him, pick the ankle. Ankle lock now, center of the ring, submission move. Will Shorty G get Sheamus to tap out?
Shorty G cranking with everything in his being. Sheamus trying desperately to break the hold and does so.
Sheamus back to his feet and went for the pro kick. Shorty G picked him out of the air again and again into the ankle lock.
Shorty G definitely did his homework.
And Sheamus fighting back again, and you have to wonder if the injured leg didn't allow Sheamus to plant properly for the brogue like you mentioned earlier.
You also have to ask if Shorty G is getting maximum impact with this submission with his injured hand.
Sheamus makes it to the bottom rope and forces a break. What a physical match to start things off here at the Royal Rumble and the Royal Rumble kickoff show.
Shorty G now bringing the fight to the Celtic Warrior in the corner.
The official trying to separate the two superstars, and a kick by Sheamus.
Shorty G has endured so much damage to his arm. Whoa, great counter, crucifix!
Shoulders down, is it enough? And again, Sheamus almost got caught. Bro kick! And just like that, Sheamus takes out Shorty G.
Here is your winner, Sheamus!
It was a fight, but the fella is back.
Sheamus knew how important tonight was to follow up on his warning to the entire SmackDown roster. The Celtic Warrior has returned in a big way.
Again, Minute Maid Park in Houston will be filled with 40,000 WWE fans later on tonight.
Shorty G nearly spoiled the return of Sheamus with a beautiful crucifix pin attempt, but in the blink of an eye, pow! Brogue kick. Let's look at it one more time. Lights out, Shorty G. Sheamus with a brogue kick and a W to start things off in Houston.
Sheamus victorious as the Royal Rumble kickoff show continues live from Houston. Congratulations to Sheamus, a victory over a game Shorty G.
You got to give Shorty G a lot of credit, but the new improved Sheamus looks great here tonight, and you got to believe that 2020, everybody, is going to be a big-time year for Sheamus.
I just have to say one thing about Sheamus to say about looking good. The man does not age. I swear to you, the man does not age. He looks the same. Like, I'm talking from a physical standpoint.
Right.
If even better. I mean, you heard them talking about his warrior workouts he puts up online. I mean, he looks phenomenal.
Well, maybe you should ask him about his skincare regimen.
I should ask him about it. Maybe I will do that.
Although he sure welts up really bad because Shorty G was taking it to him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what stood out for me. What I was interested in seeing with Sheamus being back was, and I don't believe in ring rust. I think at this level, ring rust doesn't exist. The best of the best, that's not a thing. But being in ring shape is completely different. Your wind, your timing. I was interested to see if Sheamus had, kind of had that going for him. It seemed he did. Look, Shorty G's game. He's a tough guy, but when you're in there with a stronger, longer competitor than yourself, sometimes that leverage, like we saw with that final pin attempt, didn't work, and he got caught with by Sheamus, that big boot. He's got those tree trunk legs, and when he hits you with that bro kick, man,
it's lights out like that.
You think we can expect to see Sheamus later on tonight, maybe in the Royal Rumble match?
I mean, who knows? If he's in it, though, I have to say he could be a favorite.
There is no doubt that Sheamus, and it's rare when somebody takes a long time off, you don't see them, and then they come back and they're in the kind of shape that he's in, but not just in shape, but in ring shape, right? To your point.
Yeah.
All right, we are approaching the top of the hour. It's a super-sized kickoff show here live from Minute Maid Park, the home of the Houston Astros. There you see the countdown clock. Coming up, top of the next hour, 7 o'clock Eastern time, right here live on the WWE Network, as we get set to start hour number 2. There you see it, over 40,000 fans still filing in their seats to get ready for the show in about an hour, Charlie.
I just can't get over the feel here. I said at the top of the show, it has that WrestleMania vibe. I mean, it really does. The energy here, it's electric. I mean, people here are clearly very excited. All the superstars that I've talked to backstage, very amped up for everything on the match, on the card tonight, but specifically those 30 men and women Royal Rumble matches.
Well, I know there's a lot of people out there that are just tuning in right now, so we'd like to welcome all of you to the WWE Network. This is the Royal Rumble Kickoff Show, and as you can hear, this crowd is already fired up. They've already seen a great match. More to come here live on the Kickoff Show. I'm your host, the Coach, Jonathan Coachman. To my left, Charlie Caruso.
Thank you so much, Coach.
To my right, Christian.
I'm still here, baby boy.
You're still here, kid. And all to the left. What's wrong? And then, of course, David Otunga over there, far left. Hello, David.
Here I am. What a night already. And like you said, it is electric in here. I'm so excited to see what we have coming up next.
All right, let's get to it.
All right, let's see. We have only one place that you can check out everything that's going on here tonight at Minute Maid Park. And guess what? It's the same place it always has been. That's on the WWE Network. So if you want to watch the Royal Rumble, then I have a little word of advice for you. I need you right now to go to WWENetwork.com and sign up, because get this, Royal Rumble is free. Yep, free for new subscribers. So we have a lot going on tonight. So what do you say we get to talking about it?
Let's talk about the big event and the staple. We're starting with the 30-man Royal Rumble match. 30 men all with the same chance. We start with 2, and we know who number 1 is going to be, Brock Lesnar. The winner faces the champion of his choosing in a main event match at WrestleMania.
And Daniel Bryan, he is getting his second chance at the Fiend Bray Wyatt. The Universal Championship is at stake, and there will be no escaping this showdown as the competitors are bound together by the wrists in a strap match. And also, tonight, Roman Reigns, he is out to prove he doesn't hide from anybody. But before the Big Dog and King Corbin enter the Royal Rumble match, for that big opportunity to win a World Championship match at WrestleMania, the two rivals will do battle in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And get this, everybody, that match kicking off things tonight at the Royal Rumble event.
Yeah, so you got to tune in at the top of the hour. How about on the women's side, the Raw Women's title up for grabs? This is a match that Becky Lynch, the man, asked for. Asuka is the only superstar that has a win over Becky Lynch since 2018 that Becky has not avenged. She wants that opportunity here tonight. And then on the SmackDown women's side, you've got Lacey and you've got Bayley. And these two have really carved out a great niche for themselves on the SmackDown brand. But to go to WrestleMania, you've got to be the champion. And only one will walk out that here tonight.
And one of the marquee matches of the night, the 30-woman Royal Rumble. There are so many entrants left undeclared. Only 7 confirmed entrants up to this point, so there is going to be a lot of surprises in store tonight, everybody. But the big question is, of course, which competitor is going to last the longest to earn her championship opportunity on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania.
And this next match you're about to see kick off in a matter of seconds. Andrade, the United States champion. What a role he's been on since winning at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. But he's also the man that put Humberto Carrillo out of action for a month. It's all about revenge. Time for action. Let's go to the ring right now.
And as you can see, the WWE Universe still filing inside Minute Maid Park here in Houston, Texas. Over 40,000 WWE fans expected in attendance for the Royal Rumble event. Welcome to ringside. I'm Tom Phillips alongside WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler representing Monday Night Raw. King, this is what it's all about. It's the Royal Rumble, the beginning of the road to WrestleMania.
Boy, you're right about that. As you look around this stadium, this is unbelievable. You're right. It's the road to WrestleMania starting tonight. This is awesome.
And on the Raw side, we've got a championship to decide.
The following contest scheduled for one fall is for the United States Championship. Introducing first, from Monterrey, Mexico, weighing in at 198 pounds, Humberto Carrillo.
I'm going to tell you something, Tom. Humberto may look cool, calm, and collected, but I got to tell you, walking out in this stadium in front of over 40,000 fans right now, he's got to have butterflies in his stomach the size of eagles.
Well, King, you know what this type of atmosphere is like. You've competed at WrestleMania. I'm curious to see how Humberto Carrillo does in this opportunity. I want to take you back to this past Monday Night on Raw, the epic ladder match between Rey Mysterio and Andrade for the United States Championship. Zelina Vega, the business manager of Andrade, scaled the ladder, trying to get in the way of Rey Mysterio. That gave Andrade the opportunity to hit the hammerlock DDT through a ladder to Rey Mysterio and retain the United States Championship. But King, as thrilling of a match as that was, it was the aftermath that almost got out of hand.
Boy, that Zelina Vega, she was really heavily involved. She pulled that protective covering back, but look at this. They were going to do in Rey Mysterio, but Humberto shows up.
And we thought it was a member of the WWE Universe, but instead it was Carrillo who has suffered the same fate that we thought Mysterio was about to suffer on the concrete. Came to the aid of the legend and took the fight right to Andrade.
Well, thanks to Andrade and Zelina Vega, Humberto's been out of action for a while, but he's back and ready to go tonight.
And his opponent, accompanied to the ring by Zelina Vega, weighing in at 215 pounds, he is the United States Champion, Andrade!
King, what have you made of the way that Andrade has conducted himself as United States Champion, using Zelina Vega to his advantage, the way he's treated Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo?
Well, you know, it's tough for me to say because I'm a guy that if you look back on my past, it was all about doing anything it took to win. And I think that Andrade has the exact same motivation.
There are plenty that have said that Andrade continues to find ways to cut corners. His underhanded tactics have helped him retain the United States Championship on a number of occasions. Now, he's got to go up against Humberto Carrillo, a man that he's wronged, a man that he tried to put out of action. As you mentioned, the hammerlock DDT onto the exposed concrete. It's not something, to your point, just trying to find any way to win. That is a level of deviousness that Andrade is capable of.
And when you talk about deviousness, is that a real word?
Maybe. Let's look it up later.
When you talk about deviousness, I mean, they don't come any more devious than Zelina Vega. She's been involved in every one of those underhanded attempts to hurt somebody that Andrade's been in.
Andrade set to defend his United States Championship here tonight on the Royal Rumble kickoff show in Houston, Texas. Humberto Carrillo, a young superstar who's burst on the scene on Monday Night Raw. What does it mean to a superstar when they capture, perhaps tonight for Humberto, their first championship in this company?
Oh my goodness. You can't put that into words. And especially I couldn't put it into words for Humberto. I mean, it's just going to be something that will be so special, something that will live in his life forever, something that he will never forget.
Well, you see Andrade showed some disrespect, but Carrillo's coming out and bringing it right back to Andrade.
Whoa.
And King, there's an intensity in Carrillo. There's a different aggressive look in his eye as we saw him make his way to the ring in this early competition here in this match.
Oh man, look at these guys go. Whoa.
See the confident smile on the face of Andrade.
Is it confidence or is it a show of respect? Or maybe even a little bit of fear there? I don't know.
Do you really think Andrade has any respect for anybody he steps in the ring with?
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
Oh! Now Andrade hard into the corner, missed off the top turnbuckle. And look at Carrillo go. And this is where he's so complicated to deal with.
Look at these moves. Whoa!
Whoa! And sending Andrade to the outside. Champion's advantage to Andrade tonight. Title can only change hands via pinfall or submission.
Oh, no, nobody home. Better turn around.
Well, now Carrillo, one way for the close range kick, takes out the leg. And Andrade again taking command here in this matchup. Oh!
Nice. Well, you know what they say about respect? It's not given, it's earned, and that's what Humberto wants to do. He's going to earn some respect from Andrade here tonight.
I think Carrillo was feeling a little tranquilo there for a second, King.
Oh, look out, look out!
Oh, wait a minute. Off the top, face first into the barricade.
There you go. Oh, look at Zelina Vega. So proud of her man there that big smile may have to be surgically removed.
Andrade defending the United States Championship here tonight against Humberto Carrillo on the Royal Rumble kickoff show live in Houston.
Hi, Daniel. Do you want to come play?
Yanking Daniel Bryan's hair out?
Oh my God, and a running knee! Daniel Bryan is back.
Good old DB is unbreakable.
The Fiend Bray Wyatt will face Daniel Bryan. A strap match for the Universal Championship.
As always, WWE Network is free for new subscribers.
And a near fall here in this championship matchup. Meanwhile, later tonight, the Universal title on the line in a strap match between The Fiend Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan, part of 4 championship bouts tonight at the Royal Rumble. But right now, it's Andrade trying to retain the United States Championship against Humberto Carrillo.
Oh, look out.
Oh, kick right to the side of the face by Andrade. And King, what do you think of the strategy here of Andrade? He's done a great job slowing down the much quicker Carrillo.
Oh, that's exactly what he's got in mind. And that's, if you ask me, that's what he's going to have to do. I mean, let's face it. Humberto's he's probably a couple years younger than Andrade. And you're right. He is quick. Oh, he is sudden. But he's in a world of trouble right now.
And the cross arm breaker along the ropes, using the bulk of the 5 count there, did the United States champion.
Oh, man.
Andrade, for quite some time here in WWE, has said he will be the future. He believes he is now the present as he holds the United States Championship.
Well, it's hard to doubt him right now. He's got everything going his way.
Now, this is a critical time of year, though, King. I mean, again, it's the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. We're going to find out on both the women's side and the men's side who's got a guaranteed title opportunity at WrestleMania. So Andrade understands, and you know this very well, you've got to start kicking it into high gear now.
Well, when you're Andrade and you come out of a match like last Monday night against Rey Mysterio in a ladder match, still have that title in your hand, you got it pretty much kicked into gear.
Oh, now wrenching back on the arm. Very targeted assault by Andrade.
Yeah, that's something that will hurt Humberto for the rest of this match. Oh.
And take away the arms of Humberto Carrillo. Some of that luchador-style offense goes out the window.
Look out.
Oh, wait a minute.
Get those legs still. Oh.
And there he goes, and again trying to shake off the pain, but driven to the canvas by Andrade.
And no wasted motion from Andrade. The second he gets thrown to the mat, he's right back up on the attack.
And every time Humberto Carrillo, a little flurry of offense here and there, but still it gets snuffed out by Andrade.
Yep. And you can just hear constantly, oh man. Well, you can hear that chop, but you can also hear Zelina Vega just barking those, whoa.
Now Andrade trying to take control again of this matchup. Kick right in the teeth.
Nice punt.
Off the middle. Oh, man, and a great counter by Andrade.
Yeah, that did not work out well.
How many times, King, have we seen that from Humberto Carrillo pay dividends? This time, clearly Andrade did his homework.
Oh, look at this now.
Andrade, shoulders down. Carrillo's got to be very, very careful here in this situation.
He's putting a lot of pressure on those legs and on those calves.
That's the one thing that Andrade, again, we talked about the luchador-style background, how heavy-hitting his offense can be, but there's a very complex submission background that he's not really implemented much here in WWE yet. Cover.
Man, you just look at the, well, there you go. He got his hands free.
Wait a minute, now Carrillo. Sunset flip, kick out by Andrade. Oh, and now this is more of the disrespect. Mocking the late, great Latino legend, Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero.
Well, Andrade got a little overconfident, looks like. There we go!
And Carrillo with a crossbody.
Man, look at these moves. Whoa! Oh, that one connected.
And down goes Andrade, and Zelina Vega sees her client in trouble.
Oh, what's Humberto going to do here? Look at this! Oh, the knees are up.
Went for the roll-up moonsault, but it did not pay off. Great job by Andrade. You can hear Vega calling for it, calling for the knees.
Oh, Bertie, you better think of some kind of way out of here.
Oh,
here, hey, look at this!
Hold on. And now Carrillo out to the apron, kick right to the face. Oh, blocked by Andrade, and then a forearm shiver.
Andrade took a little too long, and look at.
Oh, wait a minute, Carrillo with a moonsault.
And look at the look of disbelief on the face of Zelina Vega.
Zelina Vega saying, oh my God, the United States Championship could be slipping through the fingers of Andrade.
Just a few seconds ago, she was calling for those knees, but now look at this. Watch this move. Man!
Remember, champion's advantage goes to Andrade. Title cannot change hands via countout or disqualification. Carrillo, after the count of 6, gets Andrade back inside the ring.
Whoa!
Oh, trying to catch him, trying to catch Andrade. And the right shoulder wasn't down. Now Andrade turns it around in a kick out. Andrade slowing down the pace. Carrillo wanted to quicken things, put things in his advantage.
And Andrade loves the showboat.
And as I mentioned before, taking a page out of the late, great Eddie Guerrero, setting up for the Three Amigos.
And I used to love to watch Eddie Guerrero call him Latino Heat.
Oh, this is Andrade mocking the WWE Universe. Whoa!
Oh!
Carrillo countered.
Nice. Humberto Heat.
And now Carrillo trying to feed off the energy. He's got an opportunity here. Going up to the top turnbuckle. Oh, went for the moonsault. Andrade tried to block.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness.
Back of the neck into the turnbuckle. Carrillo could be in some trouble here.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know if he knows where he's at right now. The back of his head hit that turnbuckle.
Look out. Thinking about the knees.
Oh!
And Carrillo seeing shadows. Cover by Andrade. Oh, and Carrillo kicked out.
That's Zelina. How is that not it? Referee, you need to count faster. Everything positive coming out of the mouth of Zelina Vega.
That's what a good
got this.
That's what a good business manager does. And now trying to set up Carrillo, thinking about the hammerlock DDT.
Oh!
Wait a minute, Carrillo, cover. Oh, and a kick out.
Oh my goodness, that was so close.
Ooh. It came in hard with a forearm shot.
Humberto's gonna trade bombs with him here. Whoa!
And somehow Carrillo is still on his feet, and Carrillo and Andrade going back and forth here.
Oh my goodness.
All of this for the United States Championship.
Well, you can't say that these two athletes aren't leaving it all in the ring tonight. Man.
And now Andrade. Heavy shots here to Humberto Carrillo, the challenger, and a super kick. Carrillo, he's got to get to a cover.
This may be it. This may be it.
Shoulders down.
He got it. No.
Kick out by Andrade.
I thought we had a new champion.
And as you can see, we are less than 42 minutes away from the beginning of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, starting to stream live on the WWE Network as we officially begin the road to WrestleMania. Here inside Minute Maid Park, the United States Championship on the line right now on the kickoff show. Cover! Carrillo couldn't put away Andrade. What an opportunity tonight here for Humberto Carrillo, trying to claim the United States Championship from the man Andrade, who did him wrong a number of weeks ago.
Do you think Andrade has a little more respect for Humberto than he did when this match started?
We're seeing that play out right now. Humberto Carrillo, as tough as they come, gaining experience every single time he steps inside the ring, and Andrade is finding out exactly how tough Carrillo is.
These two guys are just about spent.
Oh!
Ooh, man.
And Carrillo refusing to back down, back up to his feet. Andrade trying to meet him.
Oh, look at this.
Well, with both arms and the elbows right to the face. Oh, went for the kick there, Carrillo. Oh, missed with the elbow. Oh!
These guys are throwing everything with the kitchen sink at each other.
Carrillo out to the apron.
Oh.
This time a back elbow finds its mark.
Now what?
Well, now it's Carrillo. Carrillo going up to the top turnbuckle and a kick to the side of the face. Zelina Vega very thankful in this situation for Andrade taking advantage of that opening. And what is Andrade going to do here? Oh, this is a scary situation here, King, up along the ropes.
Yes, it is.
Humberto Carrillo's got to be careful, as does Andrade.
I have no clue what's coming next out of these guys.
Well, now Carrillo going up to the top rope. He's meeting Andrade.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Wait a minute.
What?
Off the top and the Hurricane Rana.
Are you kidding me?
But Andrade all the way on the other side of the ring.
This could be it. This could be it.
To win the United States title. Oh, and a kick out by Andrade.
Man, oh, man.
Vega with a deep breath. And it could have been just a split second more, and we would have had a new United States champion.
My gosh, watch this. This is a thing of beauty right here. Oh. All the way from the top rope, and it just, like you said, took him a second too long to get to cover.
What a matchup. Our first championship bout of the night here inside Minute Maid Park.
Those orders from Zelina Vega. We're getting a little stronger.
King Andrade looked like he was out there for a moment. Oh, but maybe he was trying to bait Humberto.
He may have, you're right. Uh-oh.
Carrillo back up to his feet, showing that resolve. Now Andrade off of the block. Carrillo able to gather himself on his feet. Now into a cover. No, it's Andrade.
No.
And Andrade got him.
Oh, my goodness.
Retains.
Here's your winner, and still the United States champion, Andrade!
And those moves coming fast and furious, and I think that just caught Humberto by surprise.
King, when you're caught in that fast of a sequence, how frustrated is a superstar like Humberto Carrillo right now?
Oh, are you kidding me? He is just wondering what in the world just happened to me. So close, yet so far.
We talked about the respect Andrade had for Humberto Carrillo coming into this matchup. Whether he respects him as a man, that remains to be seen. But, King, do you know if he maybe respects him now a little bit more as an athlete?
Well, I think Andrade is walking out of here with this championship, and he's very, very glad to have it. Look at this. How fast did this happen?
Got it. Right there, Andrade. And you can see the joy all over the face of Zelina Vega, her client, retaining the United States Championship.
Somewhere in the back of Andrade's mind, I think he realizes right now that Humberto is a young man that's going to have to be reckoned with in the future.
Absolutely right. Some disappointment for Humberto Carrillo tonight, certainly. But the man who walks out with a victory and still the United States champion is Andrade.
As always, WWE Network is free for new subscribers.
3, 2, 1.
60 legendary hunters. One arena. One survivor. Register for the beta.
Ladies and gentlemen, over 40,000 members of the WWE Universe filing their way here inside Minute Maid Park here in Houston, Texas. And if you couldn't tell, Booker T's out here, Houston's own. They love you.
What do you expect?
Of course.
This is my city. They expect for me to be in the Royal Rumble tonight.
Are you gonna be? Here's some spoilers. We've seen you working out. We've seen it. All right, so we're talking about the Royal Rumble. Obviously, that's why we're all here. We were talking about it earlier tonight. You firmly believe that Brock Lesnar's going to enter at #1, walk out clear winner, and move on to WrestleMania.
I absolutely do. And by the way, earlier in the show, there was some confusion from the B panel. I'm the last professional broadcaster, Sam Roberts. But yes, Brock Lesnar has come in, and he's made an example of everybody in the WWE since getting that WWE championship.
Okay, so what is he? Truth. What are you doing?
What are you doing here, man?
What y'all doing?
Where you going?
I'm going to the ring, dog.
For what?
Royal Rumble, dog.
The Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Right now?
It's Royal Rumble. They didn't tell me what number I was, but I'm going to the ring now.
It's not.
Truth, it's
it's
not
the
yet.
kickoff show, Truth. We're doing the kickoff show here.
Also, didn't you already say that you weren't going to be in the
a
Royal
little
Rumble?
different. Y'all not in the Rumble?
No, we're not in the Rumble. We're working here. We're working.
Brock Lesnar, you gonna go out there and face Brock Lesnar tonight, huh?
Brock Lesnar took me to Sioux Falls City.
Okay.
No, that's Suplex City.
Sioux Falls. I didn't know he even had legal driver license. And Book, you want the spoiler?
Yeah.
Paul Heyman talked the whole time.
Shocker.
Always giving a spoiler.
Always. Every single time. What are you supposed to do with that?
Truth, I don't know what your plan is out here. The Royal Rumble match hasn't started yet. It's not till later tonight. And besides that,
You should be warming up.
You said you weren't competing. You said you weren't in the Royal Rumble match.
You're not in the Royal Rumble 2020. You're talking about 21. Still got a little time left.
Bro, see, the affidavits they're giving me is like confusing me big
An
time.
affidavit.
First, I'm declaring myself, but then I'm undeclaring myself because of the stigmalation between myself, Paul Heyman, and Mr. Brock Lesnar.
I mean, Truth, you of all people know the threat that Brock Lesnar is. I don't understand, after what Brock Lesnar did to you on Raw,
right?
Why would you want to get in a match that he's involved in?
I'm not riding with Brock nowhere. Sioux Falls is like a skip, hop, and a jump.
We're not going to Sioux Falls. We're on the road to WrestleMania, Truth.
But Brock likes to take people to Sioux Falls.
We're in Houston right now. We're in Houston for
H-Town.
Truth, it's not going to happen.
H-Town.
We're in H-Town,
They did it kind of different here this time for Royal Rumble, you know what I'm saying? This is my new gear. I got on Cena. That's my childhood hero. Book, I've been watching him since I was young, dog.
Childhood
Since
hero.
I was little, I've been watching John Cena, dog. You can't see me, Book.
You keep saying that.
I've been watching, dog.
We talk about Royal Rumble by the numbers. Our Truth by the numbers. How could you have watched John Cena as a child?
Yeah, it's a very strong point.
On the TV? We used to listen to it, too.
He got a point. He got a point there.
Who's got a point?
On the TV? On the TV?
Bro, come on.
Well, Truth, I don't think that Royal Rumble's in the cards for you tonight, at least not right at this moment, because it's not started
They
yet.
had my number. They had my number.
Okay.
I put my ballot in. I did my campaigning. Did you do yours? You're out here.
Truth, do you have a number in tonight's Royal Rumble?
Well, Truth figures out if he's in the Rumble, if he's not in the Royal Rumble. We're still trying to figure it all out. But
No, stay right there.
Coach,
Just
maybe
stay
you
right
can
there.
save us.
Well, I hope so, Renee. And somebody needs to tell our Truth what an affidavit is, because I don't think he actually knows. You're a legal eagle.
He's talking about affidavits, stigmalation. I don't even know what he
He
said.
thinks he's going to Sioux Falls City.
I love
he
our
doesn't
truth.
know what he's talking about.
I love our truth. Can somebody remind him that I lent him $100,000 and I'd like it back with interest? Can somebody remind him that?
And he's going to tell you, I'm not rolling with Christian either.
Good luck with that.
Oh, how funny is our Truth? And
He's great.
maybe we'll see him here later tonight. Well, we're all anticipating the Royal Rumble matches tonight for the men and for the women. What a huge opportunity for one superstar on each side to head to WrestleMania. But we all know that over the years, when you talk about the Royal Rumble match itself, It's all about the numbers.
The Royal Rumble. The prize, a world championship opportunity at WrestleMania. The challenge, outlasting 29 other superstars, eliminating your opponents by tossing them over the top rope so that both feet hit the floor. And success is all about the numbers. Since its debut in 1988, a mammoth total of 1,070 competitors have entered the Rumble. Combine their heights, and you're talking over 6 Eiffel Towers of superstar. Of those 1,070 who have entered, 1,034 have found themselves eliminated by the end of the night. A record 13 of those superstars were eliminated in a single Rumble by the 6'8" monster among men, Braun Strowman. Get these hands! And while size does matter, it is not the only path to victory. At a height of only 5 feet 6 inches, Rey Mysterio showed in 2006 that endurance is also required, punching his ticket to WrestleMania by lasting 62 minutes and 12 seconds. Rey Mysterio did it! But even stamina doesn't guarantee victory. The longest overall time spent in a single Royal Rumble match belonged to Daniel Bryan, who lasted an astounding 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 6 seconds. And on the women's side, Natalya at 56 minutes and 1 second. But the most important rule of the Rumble, do everything in your power to stay in the Rumble.
1 foot, 1 foot!
And while some superstars have shown an uncanny ability to avoid elimination,
Kofi, what a move!
others have found that just getting into the Rumble can be problematic.
Hey, he didn't even last 2 seconds. I wasn't ready. No, I'm going back in. Oh my God! Did that really happen?
This year, the lights will shine bright at Houston Astros Minute Maid Park, home of the 33rd annual Royal Rumble, as over 35,000 members of the WWE Universe will witness.
Houston, we have a problem.
Brock Lesnar enters the Royal Rumble match first.
The Conqueror is no stranger to victory in this prestigious event, having won the Rumble in his rookie year of 2003. But now, the Beast is looking to send shockwaves through the annals of Rumble history. Only 7 superstars have ever accomplished the monumental feat of winning multiple Royal Rumbles, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, who holds the distinction of being the only one to win 3.
Oh, hell yeah!
And only 2 other superstars have ever won from the #1 spot. Will the WWE Champion turn Space City into Suplex City? One thing is certain, the road to WrestleMania goes directly through the Beast Incarnate. The Royal Rumble has grown into a global phenomenon. And since the WWE Network's launch in 2014, subscribers have viewed Royal Rumble pay-per-views over 64 million times. And this year's fields look to be the most competitive yet.
I'm here to rumble.
Three brands collide in 2 Royal Rumble matches on one historic night.
The anticipation continues to grow here at Minute Maid Park, and that includes the excitement for the Women's Royal Rumble match. Please welcome one of the competitors, the Queen, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte, last year you made it to the very end of the Women's Royal Rumble match, only to be eliminated by the surprise entrant, Becky Lynch. How did last year's experience shape your approach to this year's match?
Last year, I think I let my emotions get the better of me. I thought about winning the Rumble every single day. I obsessed over it. I could literally envision pointing to the sign. I could feel it. I really could feel it. Until I couldn't. This year, I see it differently. I don't see 29 competitors. I see numbers. And when they look at me, they will see the queen.
I think we all look at it differently now, because let's remember, it was only a short 3 or 4 years ago when the women hadn't even main evented a WrestleMania. Now fast forward, not only are they in WrestleMania in the main event, but also they have a Royal Rumble match themselves. So now it's no longer we're making history, but this is a part of what they do. How can Charlotte rechange what her mind told her last year to not make the same mistake this year?
Well, I love what she said. Her vision has changed. She now looks at this as just, there's 29 obstacles she's got to get out of the way. Now, that's the best game plan I've heard yet. Intense focus and just do what she does. And also, like she said, I mean, she's the queen. I wouldn't bet against her in this.
In this game, you have to have a short memory. You have to forget about what happened the day before or the year before. You can't let it affect you. This is a brand new Royal Rumble. This is a brand new year. This is a brand new WrestleMania, a brand new opportunity to step in and to do something special. Listen, Charlotte has proven that she's the cream of the crop. You know, she has her eyes on the prize. She knows she
well,
knows what
as we saw, she was the first woman to declare herself in the Royal Rumble match. And I think her determination over these past 2 weeks has really showed. I mean, even last week when I was interviewing her backstage, Becky approached her mid-interview, didn't miss a beat. You know, nothing can stand in her way of what she wants right now, and I think that's very clear.
And this is something that Charlotte wants for her career, for her legacy. She wants to be a Royal Rumble winner. Now, that being said, there's a lot of unknowns in this. I mean, you know, entrance order, we don't even know who's all in this match.
We don't know the majority of the women in this match.
Right, but again, Charlotte Flair is the queen. I personally think she's the best, and she would be my pick.
Now, let's remember that there are a few fans out there, maybe just a few, that may not be familiar with the Royal Rumble match itself. So here are the rules, and they're actually pretty simple. We're going to start with 2 superstars in the ring. Every 90 seconds, not 2 minutes, 90 seconds, another superstar will enter. Superstars are eliminated one way, going over the top rope. Both feet, this is very important, both feet must touch the floor to be eliminated, and the winner, after 29 others have been eliminated, receives a championship match of their choosing at WrestleMania. There's a lot of superstars backstage right now that looked at those rules and said, wow, it's getting close.
Yeah, I mean, the butterflies are kicking in right about this point. You know, this is a life-changing event for the person that wins this match. Changes your life.
All right, a little more to come later on this hour, but right now, we're going to send it back down to first base. Renee Young. Renee?
To the B team.
First base works. We'll take it. I mean, guys, the clock is ticking down. It's just about 24 minutes to go here until the Royal Rumble pay-per-view kicks off. But look at this place. I mean, it's on fire right now. Look at the energy here. Look at these people. Can we do it? We talked about it earlier. This is the ramp where both the men and the women are going to be making the illustrious walk all the way down to the ring.
Yes.
But what does that feel like? What does it feel like when you walk out, your music's playing, you're ready to get this party started?
Well, I got to go back to 2011. I got to go back to Boston TD Gardens. And to make that walk for me, unexpected entry like Serge Nubret in 72 at the Olympia. What a moment. I'm talking about a pop 87 Road Warriors. It was awesome.
Please.
No, I'm serious. And the butterflies, man, they were flying all over the place, but I had to get those butterflies to line up and fly straight. It was an awesome moment. Shucky ducky, quack, quack moment of the night.
Hey, shucky ducky, quack, quack to you. Booker's pandering.
Incredible. Think about this walk itself.
He might as well enter the Royal Rumble. I mean, at this point, I feel like it needs to happen. It's pandemonium down here. Houston loves Booker T.
Oh, my bad. I got caught up in the moment.
It's a lot of people get caught up in the moment. Think about this walk itself. Think about the amount of people who have made history just on this walk. Think about Titus O'Neil taking this walk.
Yeah, that
and
was
taking
a run.
that
You're
slide.
going to bring up Titus O'Neil? You're going to do Titus dirty like that?
I mean, think about the CEO,
guy.
the chairman, Mr. McMahon himself, taking this walk and blowing out both his quads. Anything can happen.
You want to be on another pay-per-view panel, Sam? You want
as you
Fine
walk
line, my friend. Dang.
to the Royal Rumble.
No, it was that feeling. The feeling, you can cut it with a knife, seriously, being in the Royal Rumble. And like I say, I'm looking forward to the unexpected entries that's going to be here in Houston, Texas. 2020 Royal Rumble. It's getting ready to go down. It's going to be on like neck
That was a
bone.
long walk we just did. I'm
it's
getting in
good.
my steps here today. Burning calories left, right, and center. What is your piece of advice for somebody who's never been in the Royal Rumble and they're about to make this walk here?
Oh man, just take it in when you walk out of that curtain, when you make that step right there in front of all of these people. Just soak it in for a moment, because literally, guys, this is a once-in-a-lifetime moment. This is history being made just to make that walk for that young man or that young woman. So, guys, go out there and just feel it. Woo-side moment.
Get it out there. This is the walk. This is the walk that every male and female superstar is going to be making here tonight at the Royal Rumble. We've said it already tonight. This is the road to WrestleMania. It is all kicking off right here as they make their way up the steps inside this ring where all the magic's going to happen. Time to send things on back over to Coach and crew.
Are y'all ready? Thank you very much. There are 3 members on this panel that have been in Royal Rumble matches, and I can tell you, when you get close to the ring, depending on who's in the ring, your mind changes. And tonight, every single person, as long as Brock's still in the match, that comes to the ring will be staring at the most dangerous person in the WWE today.
Yeah, look, Brock Lesnar has this aura about him, right? He's the kind of guy that when he walks into a room, things get uncomfortable very, very quickly. Imagine walking into that room, into that ring, and seeing Brock Lesnar standing there waiting for you. I mean, we saw what he did to Ricochet this past week. Look, Brock, he's going in here to run the gauntlet. And I have a hard time betting against a guy like Brock. I mean, he's a monster, and this type of match was made for him.
Would you say that if you were entering the Royal Rumble and Brock Lesnar is in front of you, is it wise to go straight for him, try to take him out, or find your way around him?
It depends on how many other people are in the ring with you. I mean, let's be honest here. But
if there's other options, we'll say.
Think about who enters number 2 with him, one-on-one with Brock. And it's like you said, Brock has an aura even backstage where people are afraid to go up and speak to him, to even tell him they need him for something. So whoever comes in is going to be starting one-on-one. And also, I personally think it's so cool. Brock wants to start at number 1. That is supreme confidence. Anybody who's that confident in themselves, I mean, you got to look out. And it's like you said, I really can't think of anybody who could take him out.
Well, we saw by the numbers, and they focused a lot on the very, very few individuals that have gone from start to finish and won this thing. So we might say it's a foregone conclusion that nobody can get him out. But let's be honest, if there are 8, 10, 12 guys in there, we've seen people before gang up on somebody.
Yeah, look, your best shot of getting a guy like Brock out is to catch him in a compromising position.
Sure.
His back turn, whether it's multiple people dumping him over the ropes, whatever it is, that is your but like you said, if he's in the ring, are you going straight after him? Me, I'm taking a detour, man.
For 90 seconds.
Because I've
For
also
90 seconds.
Right. I've also seen situations where there's multiple people ganging up on him and he turns it around and chucks them. So I mean, that's just as likely to happen as well.
Man, I tell you what, there are so many different things I think could happen because of Brock Lesnar being that number 1 entrant here tonight. And very few guys, I think, would be licking their chops at that opportunity. Brock Lesnar really is. All right, still more to come here on the kickoff show, but last night, it's truly the start of the weekend here in Houston. The very, very best of NXT against the very, very best of NXT UK right here in H-Town.
Tonight, some of the best that NXT and NXT UK have to offer do battle. Welcome to Worlds Collide. Storm and Ripley for the NXT Championship. Oh, and now it's Rhea Ripley.
Riptide! Still the NXT champion, Rhea Ripley.
The Undisputed Era clashes with Imperium for the first time ever.
Watch out!
The two most dominant groups on their respective brands.
Fish on the top rope. Oh!
Imperium has beat the Undisputed Era.
I'll tell you one thing. One thing I've been hearing all day long after the Worlds Collide event last night is what a badass Walter is.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other athlete like him in NXT or NXT UK for that matter. Look, that was the match that I was looking forward to seeing, was Imperium versus Undisputed Era, and I mean, it was off the charts, right? And no shock to see Walter, kind of win it for his team there. Hard hitter, just like you said, badass.
6'5", 300 pounds. I mean, do you want to mess with a guy like that?
He can move, and what I was thinking would be interesting, what if he shows up in the Royal Rumble or something like that? That would be
possible.
It's very possible.
It's entirely possible. So much talent, but he's a guy, I don't know, he could do kind of well against Brock Lesnar maybe. I'd like to see it.
We have seen superstars that are not on the radar in years past do very, very well. Because I think superstars, when they're back there putting together their game plan, you may not like David Otunga, but you're willing to work with him.
Well, I don't like him.
Well, that's true. But you're willing to work with him tonight, right? So maybe you're not even talking about guys that haven't been on the main stage, haven't been on the big roster. Maybe that's an advantage.
I see it being an advantage. I mean, I think sometimes when you go in with no expectations at all, that's when you can really do the most and perform at your highest level, because you're kind of carefree. You kind of walk in there with nothing really to lose, whereas some people who walk in with high expectations, it's a little tougher.
It definitely is an advantage. Do you really think that a guy like Brock Lesnar is studying footage of Walter? I mean, if Walter came out, he wouldn't know anything about him, I'm thinking. I don't know that for sure, but in my mind, I'm not thinking that Brock is paying too much attention to that. So it could catch him off guard, not knowing what Walter is all about, that he is this big, strong, powerful guy who's totally driven. It could cause Brock problems in this.
I agree with you, because I don't see Brock back there studying either. I think he just goes in to smash. Whoever's in there with him, he's taking them to Sioux Falls City, as Duke said. Apparently, he's got a Sioux Falls driver's license.
So you don't think anybody's knocking on Brock's door today in his own personal locker room and asking Brock to work together tonight?
Are you crazy?
I'm just asking.
Come on.
Are you not backstage? Like, seriously, do you know what it's like by his dressing room? You don't even walk past it.
Yes, I know.
God forbid somebody would knock on his door who's not Paul Heyman. I dare you.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, go back there and knock on his door.
I dare you.
You know what?
After
He's
this,
one of those guys you
we'll
try to
never see you
make
again.
casual eye contact with, and if he makes eye contact with you, you kind of that's when you maybe start a conversation, but you never directly approach a guy like Brock Lesnar. No way.
Maybe I just have more guts than anybody else sitting on this panel.
I don't know about that.
Tonight at 7:01 Eastern Time, Roman Reigns and the King, Baron Corbin, will kick off the Royal Rumble. And this rivalry, over the course of the last 4 to 6 weeks, has really taken so many different turns. We know this. These two men hate each other. And they will not have to wait hardly any time at all to go one-on-one here tonight.
Yeah, and I'm so excited that this is a Falls Count Anywhere match. I mean, I feel like this is perfect. This is exactly what these guys need, and especially Roman Reigns. Everything King Corbin has put him through, the humiliation, I personally still can't get over the dog food. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Roman's going to do, because I know King Corbin's getting a butt whooping tonight. I think it's the one he deserves.
All right, you talked about dog food. For fans who haven't seen it, let's go back to SmackDown. And this was Roman Reigns, and then out of nowhere, Dolph Ziggler puts the handcuffs on Roman Reigns, and there was nothing at this point that Roman Reigns could even do about it. And then the very real dog food and the humiliation that would ensue over the course of the next couple of minutes was disgusting.
I mean, that's got to be a traumatizing moment in the mind of Roman Reigns, I would think.
Well, I mean, you think about the ego and just your pride that Roman Reigns has.
Yeah, it's look, here's the thing too. I feel like this type of match actually favors King Corbin. I mean, you obviously have Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode kind of lurking around. Like, who's to say they're not just going to show up and help him at any point here, But that's the thing with Roman. He's never backed away from a challenge ever, no matter how the cards are stacked against him, and tonight is no different. look, Roman's a one-of-a-kind talent, in my opinion.
Well, I ran into Baron Corbin earlier today, and we know he's a huge Kansas City Chiefs
I was going to say
fan.
Kansas City folk.
And so he came up to me, he says, Coach, you're going to be at the big game next Sunday. I said, yeah, I'm going to be there. He said, I'm going to be there too, and I'm going to be there with a win over Roman Reigns tonight. So he's already thinking 7 days down the track.
So what does that mean? You're going to help him?
No.
Is that what you're trying to say here?
I'm just trying to say he's confident. That's what I'm trying to say.
He's confident because he has a plan, but at the same time, I mean, it would be unwise to think that Roman doesn't have a plan as well. I mean, obviously, he has his cousins here, the Usos. They can be around. However, I think this is one that he wants to take on his own because he's got something to prove to King Corbin.
Well, look, we're not going to have to wait too much longer to see what happens in that match between Roman Reigns and King Corbin, because that match, as we all know, kicking off the pay-per-view event tonight. But, Coach, there's a lot going on tonight. It is the Royal Rumble. We are officially on the road to WrestleMania, so let's talk about what else is going on.
All right, let's talk about the staple, the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Every man has the same chance. We start with two. The first is going to be Brock Lesnar, and the winner, after a brutal hour-plus, is going to walk out with a match at WrestleMania with the champion of their choosing.
And there is nothing like a second chance, and that's what Daniel Bryan has tonight against the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. The Universal Championship is on the line, and there is no escaping this harrowing showdown. These competitors, they will be bound together by the wrists in a strap match. And also, as we talked about earlier, the big dog Roman Reigns out to prove that he is not scared of anybody. The big dog and King Corbin stepping into the ring together, and that is before they both enter the Royal Rumble match for a possible opportunity to win a World Championship match at WrestleMania. And guess what? These guys are going at it in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Last year, the night was all about Becky Lynch. This year, it could be the same, but Becky demanded this match against Asuka. It's personal, and she has put her immediate future, her WrestleMania future, on the line here tonight with the Raw Women's title up for grabs.
And everybody has their eyes on the 30-woman Royal Rumble match.
But first, Bayley and Lacey Evans for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We're all excited. We get it, Charlie. These two have really a unique niche on the SmackDown side, but tonight only one can walk out the champion.
All right, now let's talk about the 30-woman Royal Rumble match. There are so many entrants who are left undeclared at this point, so there's going to be so many surprises in store for this big-time match. But the big question is which competitor is going to last the longest to earn that championship opportunity on the biggest stage of them all, of course, WrestleMania. Now, we have so many surprises in store, not only for that match, but really all of the matches on the card here at the Royal Rumble. And everybody, there is only one place you can watch all the action going down here at Minute Maid Park. That is on the WWE Network. So right now, you got one job. Head on over to WWENetwork.com and sign up, because Royal Rumble tonight is free for new subscribers. It really does not get any better than that. So again, one job, WWENetwork.com, sign up and go get your Royal Rumble free for new subscribers. And if you're not convinced, which you should be, but if you're not, take a look at this.
This is gonna be one hell of a ride.
I think bigger. I think better.
We're gonna make a little history. Oh, you got that right. I've never seen anything like this.
What a time to be alive.
It's been an incredible journey that we've all had together.
You feel like you finally found what you've been looking for your whole life.
You have so much content that you could connect to.
I can feel there's magic in the air.
I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm white-knuckled the whole time.
I was watching it and I was like, dude, that's badass.
Exactly.
The next generation has arrived.
This is our kingdom!
It's been the wildest ride ever. Everything has led up to this point.
We'll see where we go after this.
All right, how good is that? There you see over 40,000 strong in their seats, ready to go. The top of the hour here at Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. It's all about the Royal Rumble match itself. On the men's side, we know that Brock Lesnar is going to be number one. There's a man backstage right now who will not go out of his way to avoid Brock. Let's go there now.
Kofi Kingston. Now, hey, this past week you joined me on WWE's The Bump, and that's where you announced that you would be a part of the Royal Rumble. It's almost time. How are you feeling?
I feel good, Kayla. You just never know what's going to happen. This is the Rumble. It's the most exciting time of the year because, like I said, when we talked last week, look, it's a one-way ticket to WrestleMania. I'll say it again, a one-way ticket to WrestleMania. You know, a lot of people are talking about Kofi Mania, and last year, this is kind of like almost where it started, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing is like, you know, look, you got to put all that outside your mind. You got to have a very short memory, wins and losses. Everything that's happened to this point does not matter. What matters is tonight, the Rumble. I'll say it again, a one-way ticket to WrestleMania. Let's go.
Now, I don't know how much you can tell us, but do you know what number you'll be entering?
You know what, Kayla? I can't tell you that information because I don't know, you know, and that's okay. That's the excitement, the unpredictability of the Rumble. You don't know who you're going to be in there with. You don't know who you're going to fight. You don't know when you're coming out, but you got to get ready, okay? And me, I stay ready. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just excited, you know, because the opportunity is endless. As a WWE superstar, we're trying to get to the main event of WrestleMania, and this is probably the easiest way that we can do that. As hard as it is, you got to go through 30 people or so, you know, but a one-way ticket to WrestleMania, Kayla. We're looking for that ticket, you know?
Well, another one of those 30 is your partner, Biggie. Have you guys discussed strategy at all?
Yeah, strategy is to go out there and be a team and do as we do. And a lot of people ask too, like, hey, what if you guys are the last two guys in the Rumble? Well, ring the bell. That means we already won, you know, because when one of us wins, we all win. And Xavier Woods, too, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't even have to set foot in the Rumble, and he could potentially win the Royal Rumble just by me and E being in this thing, you know? It's a lot of excitement, Kayla. It's a big night.
All right, well, good luck tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
There is not a superstar on the roster that has more to put in the rearview mirror about last year than that man right there, Kofi. We can remember how magical the 2 months was, how magical the night at WrestleMania was. Well, if he doesn't win tonight, then that moment to do it again is not going to happen. That's pressure, David.
Well, I mean, it could happen, but it might not happen at this WrestleMania. However, you know, I didn't think about this before. I think Kofi could be a good pick for the Royal Rumble. I mean, he always has some kind of crazy way where he stops himself from being eliminated. So you already know he's one of those guys where he knows how to survive. Then you mentioned you have Big E also in there watching his back. But, you know, I know they're tight, and they say if it's the last two, ring the bell. One of them's got to go over. They got to make a decision.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the most athletic superstars in the history of the WWE. And I just thought it was interesting what he just said. Look, he reminded us, friendships out the window here. This is all about the road to WrestleMania, and he wants that spot back that he had last year. Make no mistake about it.
You've had good friendships over the years here, but when it came down to the Royal Rumble, are you willing to is anybody willing to put their friendships ahead of ultimately what every superstar is trying to accomplish in this business?
I mean, you shouldn't be, and if that's the case, you shouldn't be here. It's about you. It's about winning. You want to main event WrestleMania. And, you know, if I have friends and I put them out, I would think they would understand. And if somebody put me out, my friend put me out, I'd get it. I'd be like, dude, you eliminated. I get it. WrestleMania, main event. Okay.
And we have 30 superstars in the Royal Rumble, right? Some of them may never get a chance to main event WrestleMania, but somebody could catch lightning in a bottle tonight. This might be, in their mind, their only opportunity to conceivably have this opportunity. And that puts a whole different spin on it.
And exactly building on that, what's so cool about this kind of a match is like, okay, for example, somebody may not be able to beat Brock Lesnar one-on-one. However, all you have to do is get him over the top rope. That's a much easier task than defeating the man one-on-one. So
well, it sounds like an easier task.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, so somebody, you're right, who may normally you wouldn't think would be in the main event of WrestleMania, this could be their night.
It really could take your career in an entirely different direction depending on what happens tonight. That is a beautiful thing.
All right, we each have 15 seconds for you two. Your prediction for the winners, both of them, quickly.
Oh, man. I think Brock is going to win. I think Brock is going to run the gauntlet, in my opinion. And I think on the Women's Royal Rumble, I think I have to go with Natalya just as a...
Because it feels good.
The feels.
Okay.
I got the feels.
All right, David, go ahead.
For the Women's Royal Rumble, I have to go with the Queen, Charlotte Flair. I mean, she's so focused. I think she's going to do it. The men's, it is extremely hard to bet against Brock Lesnar. But I'm going to go Braun Strowman.
Okay, very good.
It's not a bad guess.
Well, all the time for talking is now over. You can feel the crowd. They know the top of the hour is upon us, and we know that Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin are going to start the show. Remember, superstars all grow up dreaming about being a part of WrestleMania, but you have to win the Royal Rumble match. It all starts live from Houston